Hello. So, I'm back. And here, funny, I got this a while ago, off of eBay, of all places, is a I think, a tester for Commodore 64 that I probably should have opened a while ago. I do have other such things, but this one, good shot. Commodore 64 Diagnostics Utility Cartridge. Of course, it has no actual, holy shit, they use good tape on this. I will bring it over there. It has no actual cartridge body around it. But that is all right. And I should save the card. Corporate Computer Bioproduction. Cool. I will save that. So I will bring this over. C64 C128 C128D. Oh, cool. Commodore Dead Test. Dead Test. So there it is. Now, that was not what I had in mind at this moment. What I was going to do was show you the difference between what the bad video, well, the early video signals look like, as opposed to the newer, cleaner, crisper ones, which I will do. But just because I have this out, I'm going to plug it in and see what happens. Well, oh, it is up. So, it's funny, it looks an awful lot like, Commodore had these sort of things way back when. It looks like that, kind of, although it has a computer style font. You know what I think I will do if I can get this to work? I have done this before with the Big 20. I think I'm going to turn that off. Oh, that's funny. And I'm going to take the iPhone out and record. So let's see if we can get this to stand up reasonably. We did this with the Big 20, so one would think we can get it to go on the Commodore 64. Well, that's not bad. Okay, we'll turn this on so you can all share in the magic. It does, it's funny, I don't remember these cartridges taking quite so long to sort of kick in. Now, how are we doing in that? Not bad. We don't quite have the whole screen. Maybe it's possible for me to gently move this back. And tilt this ever so slightly. There. I think that is better showing the whole screen. So here it is. It's the C64 Dead Test revision 781220. I guess that is later than the one I probably had and probably still have somewhere buried away with my Commodore stuff. So it is testing thing. Oh. Interesting. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. All the characters just kind of got eaten away off the screen. And the phone fell over. Oh, they're back. Okay, I guess that was okay. Sound test. Uh-oh. I did not hear anything, but is the volume up? Perhaps it was not. So, let that run through its thing again. It's funny, it seems this one, I mean, it's been a while since I have observed this, but it does seem a bit slower. So, it is testing the screen RAM, and now the color RAM. It's funny, I don't know where it got that funky funky character set from, but there it is. Anyway, as I said, this is not what I intended to do, but oh, okay, so now the screen, okay, the screen is going away, but it will come back. Now I have the volume turned up. You can probably hear a little bit of a buzz going on, maybe, possibly, and now we'll see if the SID chip is working or not. Sound test. I hear nothing. And now it is going back to the start. So, isn't that magical? So I am going to do something here. Actually, no, I'm going to stop this, because I know I'm going to knock it over. And we'll go back to what I was going to show you. I'm going to set that in a special place. And we'll set this up again. And then I'll turn on the 64 after I start it. Record. Very gently on the switch. Okay. So there is an old 64 on a wonderful monitor, being that it is the Commodore 1701, and you can see all the vertical line. It really doesn't look good. It just doesn't. Ew. So, I'm going to very carefully turn that off, and then, very carefully, pull out the power connector, plug it into the other 64 that I used to test things with here. And now try to get the video connector out without dropping the phone, which probably is not possible. Oh, I did. Okay. So, this is just a quick thing to show you the difference. Okay. So, when I turn it on for this 64, look at that. It's crisp, it's clean. It's, there's no, well, I mean, I can still see a titch of those vertical lines, but, oh my word, nothing like what we had before. Well, now that we're here, perhaps I will gently try to put in the cartridge to test this 64. I like them better when they have cartridge things around them, it makes them better to get in. Okay, so here we go. This is 64 I used to test things with, so I'm hoping that it's fine, and hopefully we will hear. See, it doesn't even that screw. Oh my. The phone is really struggling with this. This may not look good. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot, it's funny because I didn't notice this before. There are a lot of bars on the recording, which weren't there before. Anyway, I don't know what to do. So I'll just let it record. But it is during the test, and I'm hoping that I will get proof and evidence that it actually does test the sound chip, because that's really what I need to test. I can, of course, remove the sound chip from any of these. Oh my god, the iPhone is really not happy with this. And plug it into a 128 and test it there, because even though they had different numbers, they were interchangeable. Oh, okay, the screen is vanishing. And now, I think at the end of this, we should have our sound test, which, according to the way the volume is set now, might be pretty beastly loud. But we shall see. This one, the dead test. Oh yeah. Interesting. I did not hear the sound, like there's a white noise voice. I didn't hear that it tested that, which is kind of discouraging. Anyway, enough of this. I'm going to shut this off because this really, I'm not sure how this is turning out. Oh, you know what? Brilliant. I was not recording. Oh, God. Maybe that's why it was struggling. Oh, maybe I was recording. Turning out. Oh, you know what? No, I was... Brilliant. I was not recording. Yes, I was not recording. Well, because I know I'm going to knock it over. And we'll go back to what I was going to show you. I'm going to set that in a special place. Up again. It seems, brilliantly, turn on to 64. That when I thought I was recording, I wasn't, and when I thought I wasn't, I was. Brilliant. Here is the sound test. It's funny, it didn't test those voices, but it's not, sorry, it didn't, it wasn't like it was quiet when it should have been, it just didn't test it. Oh dear, 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 dear. So, let's go and try this again. Now, I see those awful bars coming. Ugh. Okay, now I'm going to start recording. There. Now, here we have the dead. Where are we? Okay, that's no fun listening to. Stop. I don't know why it's making all that noise. Anyway, here we have the 64 dead test cartridge on my test Commodore 64. You may have seen this already, it's okay. and it runs through things. It's funny. It is not as thorough, I think, as the other testing. But this one, I think, is the one that, like, if nothing happens when you turn the thing on, this is what you're supposed to use. So anyway, it does its thing. It is not. Well, no, I can tell it's not. Down at the bottom, it has mentioned the 61, 64 chips. Those are the RAM chips, and I guess it will make note if some of them are bad. But it doesn't test a lot of the other chips, which I guess that is what the dead test does. So it is checking off the screen here. And it's clear, and now the sound check should begin, which I am still surprised it does not check all 4 voices, because especially, there we go. And it goes back. But especially in games, the explosion noise, which is the 4th voice, the white noise voice, is kind of important. Anyway, but it isn't that it doesn't, it's not that this one doesn't work, it doesn't even test those voices. So anyway, enough. There is the Commodore 64 dead test, revision 781220. It's a cartridge thing. I got it off eBay. It's quite handy. Now that I am actually recording, I am going to stop recording. And I have stopped recording. So now, we'll repeat. Holy crap. Oh, that thing is tough to get out. Okay, so we're going to repeat the show of the terrible monitor. So, we're going to record. And we are recording. So here is an example of what I was talking about when we have a newer Commodore 64. When you first turn it on, using a video cable that goes into the front of the monitor and a 1701 monitor. This is, I don't know how new, I mean none of them are new, but it's a later model of the 64, and the screen looks pretty fantastic. But when I unplug, or turn this off, and very carefully, plug the same cables into this earlier model, the screen looks remarkably different. Oh, come on, baby. Okay, we got it. Okay, so here we go. Here is the older 64. Same cables, same everything, same monitor. Ew. Yeah. So, I guess that's one way to tell if you have a 64 that is more vintage. I heard, actually, I think it was Bill Hurd told the story, it's quite funny, of how the first 64s, they flickered. And I remember, because I had one of the first 64s, it cost $899.95, and I hooked it up to a TV, and yeah, there was a flickering. I was like, oh, well, who cares? But this was a big thing. They didn't like this, so it was quickly corrected. And apparently the way they got to correct it was not to stop it flickering, but to get it flickering in blue rather than white. And of course, when you're flickering in blue on a blue screen, guess what? You don't see it. Anyway, so there is an old 64 and a newer 64, and how different they look on the same 1701 monitor. So I'm going to stop this recording. Good. And I'm going to turn this off, and turn that off, and I still have the cartridge handy. So, we'll continue to test some of these 64s to see what we have, and of course, I'll find more. And perhaps I'm going to try and come up with a better way of keeping track of what I've tested and what I know to keep better notes. I don't like sticking things on the back, because of course even then the tape can cause damage over the years. It can. So, I'll shut things off, and we will continue to test. Why will we test? Because, of course, there is the possibility that I might actually be rid of a Commodore 64 system. Which will make somebody very happy, and as you know, I have too much stuff. So, until we meet again.